Here's my Tado Starter Kit with the thermostat. Note that it says Starter Kit and it's not just a straightforward thermostat on its own, which I originally bought and then noticed later that in tiny writing it says requires a Tado Starter Kit with internet bridge. So I'll be taking that back to the shop. I don't have a thermostat in my flat at the moment, I just have a time clock that tells the boiler when to turn on and when to turn off. So as well as the thermostat, to receive the signals from it, I also need to replace the time clock with an extension kit. So it's just a standard on-off controller, and it seems to be built on the same standard British backplate as the extension kit, which means that as I take this off, which I'm about to do, I shouldn't need to take off the backplate. I can just replace the front piece with the extension kit from Tado. I'm going to take a look at what's inside. So the Smart Kit, Starter Kit rather, has the thermostat, the internet bridge that you can use to control it, and the instructions. Not professional. I guess I'll be using the simpler guide. The extension kit has this, which is the same size as the unit that I've just seen on the wall, and comes with a back plate, which I hopefully won't need to screw up on there. And it says that if you're not a professional installer and want to install it yourself, go to the website. So that's the video that I'll be following. So I've killed the power here, the screen is off, and I just need to unfasten the two screws that hold this on to the back plate along the bottom. Okay, so now if I take that off, the back plate, which looks remarkably like the left hand side of this one here, and all of the instructions that I have tell me to do things with wires over here, nothing with any wires over there. So I think in this instance what I can do is just attach my new front plate over the top of that, because as you'll see from here as well, the screws are in exactly the same place, so this seems to be a totally standard back plate. One thing I'm told I need to make sure is that on the front plate, which is going to sit over the top of this, there is a jumper in here. You can take it out by getting your nail under the edge and just yanking it towards you, and it has these two pins, and inside there are 3 contacts. So this way is position 1, this way is position 2. I'll put it back where it was because my instructions from Tado tell me that I need it in 1. These pins here go in between those pieces of metal, those pairs of pieces of metal. The pins on the front plate push in between there and make contact like that. Putting them back side by side so you can see the backs. The level of those pins needs to line up with the level of these pins, so that's approximately right. This piece here, this collar, this narrow section where the screw is going to go through, is going to come in, sit between that screw head and where the plastic is at the moment. One thing I'm finding is that as I put that on and push it down into position, it feels like there's a little bit of give, like I could push it further and it should click. But if I take the back plate that's supplied with it and put them together, then you get the same effect. You get a little bit of bounce. So that seems normal. And now it's just a case of tightening the screws at the bottom. There. First step is going to be just turning on the electricity. So I'm going to keep my finger here for a second because we keep losing focus. But the boiler is making noises, and you saw that light that came on the front here, so that all seems to be a success. I'm going to leave this sticker here just because it'll give the camera something to focus on. So next I need to connect it to the system. And I've got the blinking, which means that it's not yet connected, and I'm going to hold the button on the top for 5 seconds and it should turn into a pulse rather than a blink. Okay, so it's searching for the bridge, which is connected to the power supply next to my router in another room. Just giving it some more time, but it's worked now. So it's on a slow pulse, which I think means we are all good to go. With the internet bridge, that's connected to my router in the other room, and now I just need to flip this over, lift the back plate, and take this out to let the batteries do their job. So I'm not going to attach the adhesive strips into these recesses. I'm just going to close it up and leave it lying on the living room table. I have to take these hooks, engage them in these slots, and make sure that it clicks together. Pairing in progress. And that looks fairly successful. So if I take this, which tells me that it's 20.1 degrees, and I wanted it at 19, then obviously we're in cool down mode. But if I try and turn the temperature up here, then the light on the boiler should come on when it senses a need for heat. So if I put my temperature up to say 25 and let that register, 25, then I don't know why it's not doing anything. Okay, and I've contacted Tado, and it turns out that I'm going to have to rewire what's inside here, because there is a difference between where the wires used to be and where they should be. And the instructions don't really make that entirely clear. I've also, in the meantime, taken off the old back plate that used to be here and replaced it with the Tado one, because I thought that perhaps one of the things that was going wrong was that there was some incompatibility between the two, and that turns out not to be the case. Okay, so I've disconnected the power, and this one needs to be here instead of here. And it's a case of unscrewing here, and if you've never manipulated copper wires before, you'll be surprised at how stiff they actually are. Since this plate doesn't let you take these screws right out because they're fixed at a certain depth, and will loosen so far, and then you just start to grind away at the screw. It meant that I had to get a bit forceful with pushing the wire up in there when it's actually quite bent, and I don't have a pair of pliers to hand. So there's another tip. Be ready with more tools than you expect you might need. So that's it out of that one. I'll screw that back in just for the sake of neatness. Get it out of the way, pull this one out. And then just angle this in. Oh, it's stiff. It sort of worked. Now I'll tighten that up. But here's the setup now. Tighten that up. It seems fairly secure. So, moment of truth. If I turn the electricity back on at the fuse, the boiler has made its start-up noise. Tado unit is blinking, which means it hasn't yet paired. And now it's doing that breathing, I think they call it breathing and pulsing in the manual. So that's it. Success. And that's the noise of the boiler. The boiler panel has lit up and the temperature is climbing. I've got the flame icon. Great. Hopefully you found that more helpful than the videos that I came across when I was looking for help. And if you liked it, take 2 seconds. It won't cost you anything, but it will really help me out if you hit subscribe. The channel will become more sustainable that way. Thanks very much.